I overheard a conversation I shouldn't have. I never thought my habit of staying late at the office would change my life forever. But that's exactly what happened 3 months ago, on a rainy Tuesday when everyone else had gone home. I'm not a snoop by nature. I'm the guy who minds his own business, the one who blends into the background at office parties. My name's Alex, and until recently, I was just another overworked analyst at Meridian Financial in downtown Chicago. The kind of employee nobody notices until something goes wrong. That night, I was hunched over spreadsheets in my cubicle, trying to fix a discrepancy before the morning meeting. The office was empty, or so I thought. The overhead lights had dimmed to their energy savings setting, casting long shadows across the deserted workspace. I had my headphones on, but when the battery died, the silence of the office suddenly felt oppressive. That's when I heard the voices. 2 people arguing in the conference room down the hall. I recognized one voice immediately: Derek Harmon, our CEO. The other took me a moment: Vanessa Miller, our head of accounting. I wouldn't have paid attention except for the urgency in their tones. Something about it made me remove my headphones completely. We need to move the money now, Derek. The auditors will be here next week. Vanessa's usually calm voice sounded strained. It's too risky. We need to wait until after the merger announcement. Derek's response was sharp, cutting. If we wait, we're finished. Do you understand? Everything we've built will collapse. I froze, my fingers hovering over my keyboard. I should have coughed, made some noise to announce my presence. Instead, I quietly stood up and moved closer to my cubicle entrance, telling myself I was misinterpreting an innocent conversation. The offshore accounts are ready. All I need is your authorization, Vanessa said. And what about the board? What about the shareholders? Derek's voice had dropped to a harsh whisper. They'll never know. By the time anyone realizes what's happened, we'll be untouchable. My heart was hammering against my ribs. Was I overhearing what I thought I was? The CEO and head of accounting discussing what sounded like embezzlement. Fine. Do it tonight. Use my credentials. But Vanessa, if this goes wrong. It won't. I heard chairs scraping against the floor. They were leaving. In a panic, I ducked back into my cubicle, practically diving into my chair. I minimized my spreadsheet and pulled up ESPN's website just as they walked past. Derek nodded at me, seemingly unsurprised to see someone working late. Good night, Alex, I supplied. Right. Don't stay too late, Alan. They continued toward the elevator, their conversation shifting to mundane topics: weekend plans, a charity gala, as if they hadn't just been discussing what sounded like a serious financial crime. Once they were gone, I sat in stunned silence. What should I do? Report what I'd heard? To whom? Maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe this was some kind of legitimate financial maneuver that just sounded suspicious to my untrained ears. I packed up my things and headed home, my mind racing. That night, I barely slept, replaying the conversation over and over. By morning, I'd convinced myself to keep quiet. After all, what proof did I have? The next day at work was torture. Every glance from Derek or Vanessa made my stomach clench. Did they know I'd overheard them? Had they seen the shock on my face? During the morning meeting, I watched them closely. They seemed perfectly normal, Derek charismatic as always, Vanessa all business. Was I going crazy? As the meeting wrapped up, Derek made an announcement that sent ice through my veins. And finally, I'm happy to share that our merger with TechFusion is proceeding ahead of schedule. We expect to announce officially next week. The merger they'd mentioned in their conversation. It was real. My colleague Jamie nudged me. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. I forced a smile. Just didn't sleep well. Back at my desk, I couldn't focus. My fingers trembled as I typed. That's when I received an email that made everything worse. From Vanessa Miller. To all staff. Subject: System Maintenance. Please be advised that our financial systems will be undergoing maintenance tonight from 8 p.m. to 3 a.m. During this time, certain financial reports may show temporary discrepancies. Please refrain from accessing these systems during the maintenance window. Thank you for your cooperation. System maintenance? At night? Right after their conversation about moving money? I felt sick. This wasn't paranoia anymore. This was happening right in front of me. On impulse, I forwarded the email to my personal account. It wasn't much, but it was something. Evidence of something. Around lunch, I made a decision. I needed to look into this more before making accusations that could ruin careers, including my own. I had access to some financial reports as part of my job. Maybe I could spot the discrepancies they were worried about. I stayed late again that night, but this time deliberately. I waited until the office emptied, then began searching through files I technically had access to but had never needed before. What I found shocked me. Several large transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Consulting fees to companies that didn't seem to exist. And most disturbing of all, projections that showed our company was in far worse financial shape than anyone knew. I took screenshots, saved files to a USB drive. My hands shook the entire time. This was bigger than I'd imagined. Much bigger. As I was finishing, the elevator dinged. Someone was coming to the floor. I quickly closed all the files, pocketed the USB drive, and pretended to be working on legitimate tasks. My heart nearly stopped when Vanessa rounded the corner. She paused when she saw me. Working late again, Alex? The way she said my name, she'd remembered it, unlike Derek, made me wonder if she suspected something. Yeah, just wrapping up some projections for tomorrow, I said, proud that my voice remained steady. She nodded slowly. Dedication. I like that. She walked to her office, then called out, "Don't stay too late." System maintenance, remember? Right. Just about to head out. I waited 15 minutes after she entered her office, then quietly packed up and left, the USB drive feeling like it weighed 100 pounds in my pocket. That night, I reviewed everything I'd found. It was like watching a horror movie unfold in Excel spreadsheets and financial reports. Meridian was hemorrhaging money, had been for months. The merger with TechFusion was their Hail Mary, a way to inject cash and hide their losses before anyone noticed. But that wasn't all. Derek and Vanessa appeared to be siphoning funds into offshore accounts, preparing their golden parachutes if everything collapsed. I barely slept again, weighing my options. Going to the board seemed logical, but what if Derek had them in his pocket? The police? The SEC? What if I was wrong? The next morning, I arrived early, hoping to avoid both Derek and Vanessa. No such luck. Derek was in the kitchen, making coffee. "Alex," he said, getting my name right this time. Just the man I wanted to see. My blood froze. "Oh? Vanessa mentioned you were here late last night. I'm impressed with your dedication. How would you feel about joining the merger team? We need sharp eyes on the financial integration." It was a trap. It had to be. They were trying to keep me close, figure out what I knew. That sounds great, I heard myself say. I'd be honored. Derek clapped my shoulder. Excellent. Meeting in the conference room at 11. You'll get access to the merger docs this morning. As he walked away, I felt like I might throw up. Was this their way of containing me? Or was it genuinely a coincidence? The merger documents arrived in my inbox an hour later. I opened them with trembling hands, expecting to find more evidence of financial wrongdoing. Instead, what I found confused me even more. The merger looked legitimate. More than legitimate, it looked like it would save our company. TechFusion was investing heavily, taking on our debt, keeping our staff. It seemed too good to be true. Which meant it probably was. During the merger team meeting, I watched Derek and Vanessa carefully. They seemed genuinely excited about the merger's prospects. No sidelong glances, no hidden messages. Just two executives planning a corporate salvation. After the meeting, Vanessa asked me to stay behind. "What did you think?" she asked once we were alone. "About the merger? It looks promising." She studied me for a moment. "You seem hesitant. Is there something in the numbers that concerns you?" It was my chance to confront her, to see her reaction. But fear held me back. "No, it's just a lot to process." She nodded. "I understand. It's a big change. But trust me, Alex, this merger is going to save a lot of jobs. Including yours." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Speaking of which, I noticed you accessed some interdepartmental financial reports last night." My mouth went dry. "Just trying to understand the bigger picture." "Admirable. But next time, ask me directly. Some of those reports can be misleading without context." She knew. She definitely knew. That evening, I couldn't go home. Couldn't face another sleepless night. Instead, I drove aimlessly, eventually finding myself at a bar near the river. 3 whiskeys in, a woman sat beside me. "Rough day?" she asked. I turned to look at her mid-30s, sharp eyes, business casual attire. "You could say that. Let me guess. Work problems?" I laughed bitterly. "Something like that." She extended her hand. "I'm Maya." "Alex." "Well, Alex, want to talk about it with a complete stranger who has absolutely no connection to your life?" There was something comforting about the idea. A confessor with no stakes in my drama. "I think I overheard something I shouldn't have at work." "Something bad." "How bad?" "Like, federal crime bad." She didn't flinch. "And you don't know what to do about it." "Exactly. What's stopping you from reporting it?" I swirled the whiskey in my glass. "What if I'm wrong? What if I ruin people's lives and careers based on a misunderstanding? And selfishly, what happens to me? I need this job." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "Those are legitimate concerns. But consider this, what if you're right, and you do nothing? Could you live with yourself?" The question hit hard. "I don't know." She pulled out a business card and placed it on the bar. "If you decide you need help figuring it out, call me." I picked up the card. Maya Daniels, Financial Crimes Investigator, FBI. My head snapped up, but she was already walking away, leaving me with a small smile and a wave. I stared after her, then at the card. Was this a coincidence? Or had I just been approached by an FBI agent investigating my company? The next day at work, I was a mess of anxiety and confusion. Had Maya been real? Was the FBI already investigating Meridian? Or was it all some bizarre coincidence? The merger team meeting was set for 2 p.m. I spent the morning gathering my courage. I needed to know if what I suspected was true. When lunch came around, I made my move. I knew Derek always ate at his desk on Thursdays. I knocked on his office door, stomach in knots. "Alex. Come in. What can I do for you?" I closed the door behind me. "I wanted to talk about the merger. And about the conversation I overheard between you and Vanessa Tuesday night." His expression didn't change, but I noticed his hand tighten around his pen. "What conversation?" "About moving money. Offshore accounts. The auditor's coming next week." For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then he sighed heavily. "Sit down, Alex." I sat, bracing myself for threats, for manipulation, for anything but what came next. "You're misunderstanding what you heard," he said quietly. "Yes, we're moving money. Yes, we're concerned about the auditors. But not for the reasons you think." "Explain it to me, then." He leaned forward. "Meridian is being embezzled from Alex. Has been for months. We don't know who's doing it, but we suspect it's someone high up. Someone with access to our financial systems. I blinked in surprise. And the offshore accounts? A trap. We're moving marked funds to see who takes the bait. The system maintenance was us implementing tracking software. It sounded plausible. Too plausible? Why not go to the authorities? Because we don't know who we can trust. The embezzlement is sophisticated, professional. We think it might be linked to organized crime. Maybe even with law enforcement connections. My mind raced. Was he telling the truth? Or spinning an elaborate lie to cover his tracks? Why are you telling me this? Derek smiled grimly. Because now you know too much to be kept in the dark. And because we need your help. You're one of the few people we're certain isn't involved. How can you be sure? Because you've only been here 8 months. The embezzlement started over a year ago. And frankly, you don't have the system access needed to pull it off. I felt simultaneously insulted and relieved. What do you need from me? Eyes and ears. Help us watch for unusual behavior. And complete discretion. If the embezzler realizes we're onto them, they might destroy evidence or worse. I left his office more confused than ever. His explanation made sense, but so did my initial suspicion. Was I being played? Recruited? Or was I being honest with a CEO who was trying to save his company? And where did Maya from the FBI fit into all this? That night, after hours of internal debate, I called the number on Maya's card. Agent Daniels. It's Alex. From the bar. I was wondering if I'd hear from you. Are you investigating Meridian Financial? A pause. I can't comment on ongoing investigations. But I can meet with you to discuss your concerns. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop the next morning before work. I spent the night pacing my apartment, questioning everything I thought I knew. Maya was already at the coffee shop when I arrived, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater rather than business attire. She looked different, less intimidating, more approachable. You look like you haven't slept, she observed as I sat down across from her. That's because I haven't. I took a deep breath. I talked to my CEO yesterday. He claims they're not embezzling, they're trying to catch an embezzler. Maya's expression gave nothing away. And you believe him? I don't know what to believe anymore. She sipped her coffee. Tell me everything, from the beginning. I did. The overheard conversation, the financial reports, the USB drive still hidden in my apartment, Derek's explanation, Vanessa's warning. Maya listened without interruption, her face unreadable. When I finished, she nodded slowly. You're in a difficult position, Alex. And I'm not going to make it easier by telling you what to think. So you're not going to tell me if there's an investigation? I can't. But I can tell you this, trust your instincts. They've gotten you this far. My instincts are all over the place. She smiled slightly. Then trust the evidence. Keep gathering information. And stay safe. You think I'm in danger? I think anyone who knows what you know is potentially in a vulnerable position. Great. Not ominous at all. As we parted ways, she added, if you find anything concrete, anything that definitively proves wrongdoing, call me immediately. Don't confront anyone. Don't try to be a hero. Back at the office, the day passed in a blur of merger meetings and financial projections. I caught Vanessa watching me several times, her expression unreadable. Was she suspicious of me? Or concerned for me? As the workday wound down, Derek called the merger team together for an update. Great news, everyone. The board has officially approved the merger. Announcement goes out Monday morning. Cheers erupted around the table. I forced myself to join in, clapping mechanically. This calls for a celebration, Derek continued. Drinks at the Lakeview, on the company. 7 o'clock. As people filed out, excited about free drinks and job security, Vanessa approached me. Will you be joining us tonight, Alex? Wouldn't miss it, I lied. She held my gaze a beat too long. Good. There are some people I'd like you to meet. I spent the next 2 hours in a state of quiet panic. What people? Why me? Was this related to the alleged embezzlement investigation? Or was it something more sinister? I decided to go to the happy hour. Staying away would only raise suspicions. But first, I took precautions. I copied all my evidence onto a cloud drive and scheduled an email to Maya that would send automatically if I didn't cancel it by midnight. Paranoid? Maybe. But better safe than sorry. The Lakeview was packed when I arrived. Most of the merger team was already there, clustered around high-top tables. Derek waved me over. Alex. Just in time. Let me introduce you to Howard Chen, TechFusion's CFO. Howard was a slim man with intelligent eyes and a firm handshake. Derek speaks highly of your analytical skills. Says you've been instrumental in preparing for the merger. I glanced at Derek in surprise. That's very generous of him. Not at all, Derek said. In fact, Howard and I were just discussing the possibility of you joining the transition team after the merger. Working directly with both companies to ensure a smooth integration. It was surreal, being offered a promotion in the middle of whatever conspiracy I'd stumbled into. I'd be interested in that. Excellent, Howard said. We'll need sharp minds like yours to make this work. As the night progressed, I found myself increasingly confused. Everyone seemed genuinely excited about the merger. There was none of the tension or underlying anxiety I'd expect from executives engaged in financial crimes. Around 9, Vanessa pulled me aside. Can we speak privately for a moment? She led me to a quiet corner of the bar. My nerves were on high alert. I know Derek spoke to you, she said without preamble. About our internal investigation. I nodded cautiously. What he didn't tell you is that we've narrowed down the suspects. 3 people with the access and skills to pull this off. She slid a folded piece of paper across the table. I need you to look into their recent activities. Discreetly. I opened the paper. 3 names: Howard Chen, TechFusion CFO, Jamie Winters, my colleague, and Maya Daniels, FBI. My blood ran cold. Maya Daniels? The FBI agent? Vanessa's eyes widened slightly. You know her? I've heard the name. I was a terrible liar. She's not really FBI, Alex. That's her cover. We believe she might be working with whoever is behind the embezzlement. Possibly building a false case against Meridian to distract from the real crimes. My head was spinning. Why are you telling me this? Why involve me at all? Because you discovered this on your own. Because you went to Derek instead of going public. And because we need someone they won't suspect. She leaned closer. The merge isn't just a business move, Alex. It's our chance to catch everyone involved. I stared at the names on the paper, particularly Maya's. If Vanessa was telling the truth, I'd nearly handed all my evidence to someone involved in the crime. If she was lying, then she was trying to turn me against the one person who might actually help me. I need to think about this, I said finally. Vanessa nodded. Of course. But not too long. The merger announcement is Monday, and we expect them to make their move before then. I left the Lakeview in a daze, my mind racing with contradictory theories. By the time I reached my apartment, I convinced myself, then unconvinced myself, that each person involved was the mastermind at least twice. I needed clarity. Evidence. Something concrete to cut through all the manipulation and misdirection. That's when I remembered the merger documents. I hadn't gone through them thoroughly, too distracted by everything else. What if the answer was there? I opened my laptop and began a systematic review of every merger-related file I had access to. Hours passed as I cross-referenced data, checked calculations, and tried to piece together the truth. Around 2 a.m., I found it. A discrepancy in the asset valuation that, on its surface, seemed like a simple accounting error. But when I dug deeper, I realized it was much more. Meridian wasn't being merged with TechFusion. It was being gutted. The terms buried in the technical language would essentially allow TechFusion to strip Meridian of its valuable assets while absorbing none of its debt or liabilities. It was brilliant, ruthless, and completely legal if approved by our board. Which raised the question, was the board in on it? Or had they been deceived too? I was still processing this when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Alex, it's Maya. I need to see you. Now. It's urgent. It's the middle of the night. And by morning, it might be too late. Meet me at the office. The office? Why? Because that's where the evidence is. Derek didn't tell you everything. Neither did Vanessa. Trust me, you need to hear this. I hesitated. According to Vanessa, Maya wasn't even a real FBI agent. But then, why should I trust Vanessa? Okay, I said finally. I'll be there in 30 minutes. I grabbed my laptop and the USB drive, then paused. If this was a trap, I needed insurance. I quickly uploaded all my findings to a secure cloud drive and scheduled another email to go to several news outlets if I didn't stop it by noon. The Meridian offices were dark when I arrived, lit only by emergency lighting. I took the elevator to our floor, my heart pounding in my chest. Maya was waiting by my cubicle. Thank you for coming. Start talking, I said, keeping my distance. Who are you really? And what's really happening at Meridian? She sighed. I am FBI. Financial Crimes Division. We've been investigating a sophisticated money laundering operation that we believe involves both Meridian and TechFusion. The merger is a cover. A way to legally move large sums of money while concealing their true origin and destination. And Derek? Vanessa? We're not sure yet. They could be willing participants or unwitting pawns. I took out my laptop. I found something in the merger documents. A hidden clause that essentially destroys Meridian while enriching TechFusion. Maya's eyes widened as I showed her my findings. This changes things. This suggests TechFusion is the primary actor. Or that someone wants us to think that, I countered. She nodded approvingly. You're getting good at this. Trust no one, question everything. Including you. A small smile. Especially me. The sound of the elevator arriving broke the tension. Maya immediately went on alert. Were you followed? I don't think so. We heard footsteps approaching. Maya pulled me behind a partition, her hand moving to where I assumed she carried a concealed weapon. The footsteps stopped near my cubicle. Alex? Are you here? Vanessa. Maya and I exchanged glances. She shook her head slightly, warning me to stay hidden. Alex, if you're here, we need to talk. It's about Maya Daniels. She's not who she says she is. Maya rolled her eyes beside me. More footsteps joined Vanessa's. Is he here? Derek's voice. I don't know. I got an alert that his badge was used to enter the building. If he's gone to the FBI. He hasn't, said a third voice. Howard Chen. Our sources would have told us. I felt Maya tense beside me. We need to move up the timeline, Howard continued. Transfer everything tonight. Once the markets open Monday and the merger is announced, it will be too late to stop it. And what about Alex? Vanessa asked. A pause. If he becomes a problem, we'll deal with him. Maya's hand found mine in the darkness, squeezing it in warning. Stay quiet. Let's check the server room, Derek suggested. Maybe he's trying to access files directly. Their footsteps receded. Maya waited until the elevator doors closed before speaking. Well, that answers some questions. All three of them are involved, I whispered, still processing what I'd heard. And now they know you're onto them. We need to get out of here and secure that evidence. We moved quickly to the stairs, avoiding the elevator. As we descended, Maya outlined a plan. My team can be here within an hour with warrants. We just need to make sure the evidence is preserved until then. We were 2 floors from the lobby when the stairwell door above us opened. "They're in the stairs!" Howard's voice echoed down the concrete shaft. Maya cursed, pulling me faster. "Run!" We burst into the lobby, startling the night security guard. "Call 911. Maya shouted at him, flashing her badge. "Federal agent in pursuit of suspects." The guard reached for his phone as we sprinted for the exit. Behind us, the stairwell door slammed open. Outside, the night air was cold on my face as we ran toward the parking garage. "My car's on level 3, I gasped. "No time. They'll be watching it. This way." She led me down a side street, then through an alley. We could hear shouts behind us. "Who are these people?" I panted. "I thought this was about embezzlement and a bad merger." "It's much bigger," Maya said grimly. "International money laundering. Ties to organized crime. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Your merger was just one small piece of their operation." We ducked into a 24-hour diner, sliding into a booth far from the windows. Maya immediately pulled out her phone. "I need to call this in. My team needs to move now before they destroy evidence." As she made her call, I tried to process everything that had happened. My ordinary life had transformed into something out of a thriller movie in just a few days. All because I'd stayed late at the office and overheard a conversation I was never meant to hear. Maya finished her call. "Backup is on the way. They'll secure the Meridian offices and Tech Fusion headquarters simultaneously. Will they get there in time? I hope so. But even if they've already moved the money, your evidence might be enough to track it." I nodded, pulling out my laptop and USB drive. "I have everything here. And backups in the cloud." "Smart." She smiled. "You know, the Bureau could use someone with your skills. Are you offering me a job? Let's call it planting a seed. After all, you'll need employment when this is over." For the first time in days, I laughed. It felt good, despite everything. We spent the next hour going through my evidence, Maya occasionally stepping away to take calls from her team. The operation was in motion. Agents were moving on both companies. Dawn was breaking when Maya's phone rang again. Her expression turned serious as she listened. "I understand. We'll be right there." "What is it?" I asked as she hung up. "They've arrested Derek and Howard. But Vanessa is missing." My stomach dropped. "Missing?" She wasn't at either location when the teams arrived. And there's more. A large transfer was initiated from Meridian's accounts an hour ago. Over $50 million, routed through multiple offshore accounts. Can they stop it? They're trying. But these kinds of transactions are designed to be difficult to trace or reverse. I thought back to what I'd overheard. The offshore accounts. The urgency. I might know where the money's going. Maya leaned forward. "How?" "In the files I accessed. There was a recurring transfer to a company called Azure Horizon. Small amounts, regularly. Like test runs." Maya relayed this to her team immediately. "They'll look into it. Meanwhile, we need to get you somewhere safe. If Vanessa is still out there." We left the diner cautiously, Maya constantly scanning our surroundings. Her car was parked a few blocks away, an unmarked sedan that screamed federal agent despite its attempts at anonymity. As we drove, Maya explained what would happen next. I'd need to give an official statement. I might be called to testify. My evidence would be crucial to the case. "What about my job?" I asked, realizing how trivial it sounded after everything else. Meridian will likely be placed under temporary management during the investigation. Some jobs might be affected, but many should be safe. We arrived at the federal building downtown just as the city was waking up. Maya led me through security to a conference room where several other agents were already working. "This is our guy," she announced. "The whistleblower from Meridian." I spent the next several hours recounting my story, showing my evidence, answering questions. It was exhausting but also strangely satisfying. For once in my life, people were actually listening to me. Around noon, there was a commotion outside the conference room. Maya stepped out briefly, then returned with a grim expression. They found Vanessa. She was trying to board a private jet to the Cayman Islands. Had nearly 10 million in bearer bonds with her. Did she say anything? She's lawyered up. But the money trail you identified? It's paying off. We've already frozen several accounts linked to Azure Horizon. It was over. Or at least, the dangerous part was over. There would be months of legal proceedings ahead, testimonies to give, papers to sign. But the immediate threat had passed. Maya drove me home that evening, the city lights blurring as exhaustion finally caught up with me. "What happens now?" I asked as we pulled up to my apartment building. "You get some sleep. Then tomorrow, you start figuring out what's next for you." "That simple, huh?" She smiled. "Nothing about this was simple, Alex. You showed remarkable courage and intelligence. Don't sell yourself short." As I got out of the car, she handed me her card, a different one this time, with her direct line. "If you ever want to discuss career options at the bureau, call me." I took the card, oddly touched. I might do that. 3 months later, I was sitting in a classroom at Quantico, Maya's words echoing in my head. "The bureau could use someone with your skills." Turns out, she was right. My background in financial analysis, combined with my unexpected foray into corporate espionage, made me an ideal candidate for the Financial Crimes Division. The investigation into Meridian and Tech Fusion was still ongoing, but the initial findings had been staggering. A multinational money laundering operation spanning 3 continents. Hundreds of millions in illegal funds. Connections to drug cartels and human trafficking organizations. All discovered because I stayed late at the office one rainy Tuesday night and overheard a conversation I shouldn't have. Sometimes I wonder how different my life would be if I'd left on time that day. If I'd made enough noise to alert Derek and Vanessa to my presence. If I'd minded my own business. But I didn't. And now, here I am, training to catch people like them. People who think they're above the law. People who think their crimes are too sophisticated to be detected. People who should really check to see if anyone is listening before they discuss their illegal activities in an office they think is empty. The end.